World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chesko.
It's Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. Welcome to the Philly Pressbox Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and the STT Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chesko. Chet, the World Baseball Classic is about to get underway. How about Witt, Harper, Judge, and Schwarber, 1 through 4 in the order? Wow. The NFL Combine is in the books. We've got all kinds of dates before the draft that we're going to discuss a little bit later. Free agency is soon to be underway as well. The Flyers have won 3 in a row, quickly get back in the mix. That's a bit of a surprise. They're playing well. It's hard to believe, but Joel Embiid is out again, Chet. They only lost by 40 again last night for the 3rd time this year at home. And we've got an interesting list to discuss a little later in the show. We'll kind of just leave you hanging on that. But as always, there is plenty to talk about in Philly sports.
Yeah, for sure, Bill. Speaking of the Embiid-less Sixers, what a horrible blowout loss that was on national TV Tuesday night. Man, that was tough to watch. I did stick with it well into the second half. I like to torture myself like that. But, hey, we are just 3 weeks and a day away from baseball's opening day, so there's that. And a week away from NFL free agency, so some stuff to look forward to.
Absolutely. And all sports. We got to watch hockey. We got to see where this next couple of weeks brings the Flyers, because they're trying to sneak back into the hunt here. And if they keep playing well, maybe they'll get there. Well, hey, we have a great guest tonight. Speaking of hockey, returning and legendary Flyers 2-time Stanley Cup champion Joe Watson be talking Flyers from day one until today, Chet.
Well, for folks who have seen him on here in any of his 3 previous visits, they know that Joe Watson always has some great stories about the Broad Street Bullies era Flyers, and we'll get his thoughts on the current Flyers as well, the Olympics, and a whole lot of other stuff. Love talking with Joe.
Absolutely. He is great. He's another one of those legends as he hits up into his 80s now, still sharp as a tack, and still just loves to talk hockey.
For sure.
Yep. Well, hey, Chet, spring training is rolling along. You'll be in Clearwater this weekend to check out the Phils. Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber won't be there, though. They'll be right in the middle of the USA lineup in the World Baseball Classic. Harper, Judge, Schwarber.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. The U.S. guys crushed the Giants in an exhibition game on Tuesday, 15-1. Bryce with a couple of hits. In fact, Harper, Witt, Judge, and Raleigh had 2 hits each. Their first real game is this Friday night against Brazil. I like Team USA's chances.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good. How about the bomb that Judge hit?
I didn't see it. I know he hit one, but I didn't see it.
480, 470 feet, something. They were clearing airspace on that thing, man. What a bomb.
Yeah. Now, I think the Phillies were playing Team Canada either today or tomorrow in an exhibition.
Today. The Phillies were losing at the point I looked at it early today. I don't know how it turned out, but it's interesting. A lot of Phillies are gone to playing for different teams. Aaron Nola playing for Italy. Some of the Venezuela and Mexican guys are over somewhere as well. But spring training rolls on. You'll get to see the Phils on Saturday. That's the Blue Jays, right?
I believe so. Yeah, 1:00 Saturday afternoon. Looking forward to that. Looks like it's going to be a nice couple of days down in Florida, so I can't wait.
Yeah, it's warm. It's 85 already. Yeah, it's you'll enjoy that. That's for sure. But I'm not sure what kind of great baseball you're going to see. Alec Bohm playing well in spring training. He's hanging on. Not sure what kind of pitching you're going to see. But hey, you're not going to see Johan Rojas.
Well, he was actually in the lineup today, I believe, because he protested or whatever. So
under appeal. Okay.
appealed. So unless, I don't think they're going to reverse it, but could be in the lineup. You never know.
I'm not thinking that's very likely. Well, I mean, does it matter really?
No,
Let's
it
start
doesn't
with that.
matter.
Was he even going to make the club?
Probably not. He had a shot to be a reserve outfielder, but I don't think so.
So let me ask you: you're rolling up to Clearwater. Are you interested in the game at all, or are you just going for a little social event?
Minor interest.
They serve
in the
beer
game,
there.
but yeah,
they serve beer there.
I do hope to talk to a few people connected with the organization or the broadcast team. I'm going to talk to Chris Wheeler, on Saturday. We'll see who else is around, see who else I can snag for a quick interview, hopefully. So I got some plans. I got some things cooking, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm going to be at Disney Thursday and Friday, then drive over to Clearwater early Saturday morning, and then hang out in Clearwater, find some maybe bars. I don't know. I heard they have bars in Clearwater.
There's a rumor out there because I'm not in charge of my time very well because I turned this over to my bride. There's a rumor I will be in Clearwater on Saturday somewhere and staying at a hotel in Clearwater Saturday night.
Get out.
I just this all just kind of happened today, so I'm not all the way up on the details, but
so I may somehow see you on Saturday.
All of a sudden, emails of reservations started showing up on my phone. So I assumed we were going. So
how about
as
that?
As you know, I've been working a little bit, so I really haven't had a whole lot of time to have my life together. So this is going to be a little getaway, it sounds like.
Oh, wow. Yeah, maybe I'll get to see you. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And like I say, they sell beer at the ballpark.
I do remember that.
All right, let's see. What do we have? Oh, geez. Joel Embiid. I'm out of words.
No, wait. We're done talking baseball already?
Yeah, we're done.
We're not done. I want to mention Andrew Painter, though. Andrew Painter, the big story of this past week.
It's still spring training. You realize
it's still spring training. I'm not going to say he's the Cy Young candidate, but first time on a mound for the actual big league Phillies in 3 years. In fact, I remember the last time he was on the mound. It was 3 years ago to the day of this past Sunday, because we had Tom McCarthy on our show that night, T-Mac saying how good Andrew Painter looked that day. And then, of course, the next morning we find out he had some soreness and we didn't see him again for like a year and a half. So he does look good. 2 innings, 20 pitches, 1 strikeout, 97, 98 miles an hour at his peak. Looked like he was in control. So a positive sign. I know it's spring training. I know it was, March 1st, but we'll take it.
Well, we'll take it. But you know how I am with spring training.
Oh,
anyway.
I know.
It's just an exercise session, and that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I guess it's better than him going out there and not being able to miss a bat.
Yeah,
just giving up
exactly.
Hit and run after hit and run. So yeah, I'll go with you. It's good. It's good.
All right, we'll take
stick
that.
with it. All right. What else do you want to talk about spring training?
Phillies, let's see. Yeah, not a whole lot to talk about with so many of the key guys away playing for other teams. There's not a lot to watch for. I guess we want to see how Garcia is doing in the outfield. I haven't been keeping track of the day-to-day stuff. I know Crawford has looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign.
What about the World Baseball Classic? As you mentioned, starts on Friday. Are you planning on watching any of that?
Well, since I'll be away Friday and probably out having a good time, I probably won't see the first game Friday night. But when I get opportunities over the next, week and a half, 2 weeks, I will certainly check it out when I can.
Do you think that it brings the energy, not like the Olympics, obviously, but like the hockey's Four Nations tournament? Do you think this brings that kind of energy as it gets on and they start playing for medals? I guess
I do. I do think that is the case. Bryce Harper said as much in an interview the other day. He's pretty pumped up about it. And, the hat says U.S., not USA. He says because it's about us. Kind of like that. So, it's a great lineup, and it does energize these guys to have a Harper and a Schwarber play with somebody like Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh or Witt. Those are some big names from the other league, guys that they don't see all that often, but they certainly know of their reputation and their talents. And it's got to be invigorating and energizing to get a chance to actually play on the same team with them.
Yeah, and the opening day pitcher Friday is going to be that Paul Skeens.
He's going to pitch again, even though he pitched a bit yesterday?
I believe he is supposed to pitch that opener on Friday, unless that's changed. Yeah. So looking forward to that. It's interesting. I didn't really realize this because I looked at the starting lineup, but I didn't look at the depth really in the pitching. Clayton Kershaw is on that team. What is he going to do? I saw him throwing a bullpen. Yeah, I saw him throwing a bullpen in his U.S. uniform, and I was like, actually, the first comment that somebody made is he the batting practice pitcher? Because
he's retired now, right?
I thought he was, yeah. So, but he was throwing a bullpen in a uniform, so I'm assuming he's on the squad.
Yeah, it might just be one of those honorary things, like he's just kind of there because he's had such a great career.
And I have no problem with that.
Yeah,
I have no problem with that. But if he's going to be used as a pitcher, there's probably 10 that are better than him at this point.
He's no Joel Embiid, Bill.
Well, speaking of Joel Embiid, if we have to.
There's a segue for you.
If we have to. He's out 3 games again. They got beat by 40 on national TV. I'm just out of it with him. I'm out.
To quote the late, great Richie Ashburn, hard to believe, Harry. I'm pretty sure that Embiid has now had an injury to every single part of his body over the last 12 years.
It's a different body part.
This latest one, it's an oblique issue on his right side, I believe, by the abdomen. I looked into this, and we can just add that to what's apparently a never-ending list of maladies for Joel Embiid that keep him out of the Sixers lineup from time to time. He plays a few games. He sits out for a few games. He had a little streak earlier where he played like 6 or 8 games in a row for the Sixers. I thought, man, maybe this is where he actually turns it around. No. Then he had the shin thing, played a couple of games. They won, and now he's out for 3 more games. They got embarrassed by the Celtics Sunday night. They really got embarrassed Tuesday night by the Spurs. I think it was a wire-to-wire thing. The Sixers got to within 1 at like 20-19. That was it. It was all Spurs from then on.
And I saw where no team has ever lost by 40 points 3 times at home in the history of the NBA.
I saw John Clark post that, and that is just amazing. And I mean, the NBA has been around for a long time. Sixers, though, they did it 3 times at home by 40.
So hey, because I like Joel so much, I had to do a little research. Logan Webb, PJ says is going to throw on Friday.
There you go.
So listen to these numbers, Chet.
Okay.
In February, Joel Embiid played in 5 games. Or not February. October, Joel Embiid played in 4 games. They won 3 and lost 1. In November, he played in 3 games. The month now, not November 3rd. The month of November, he played in 3 games.
Yes.
They were 1 and 2. So that's 7 games in 2 months, and they were 4 and 3. December, he plays in 7 games. They go 3 and 4. Then the time that you thought he was coming around, January, he plays 14 games. They win 10 of them.
There you go.
They win 10 of them, right?
That's what I like.
So it looks like he's coming around. February, he plays in 5 games. They win 4 of them, but he only plays in 5 games in the month of February. And if my math is right, Chet, that's 33 games that he's played in this year. In January and February. In January and February, he has averaged 29.7 and 29 points a game in those 19 games he's played across those 2 months.
Yeah.
But you gotta play, right? I mean, how can you play in the league and play 4, 3, 7, and 5 games in months?
On the bright side, he's played 33 games this year, which is up from 19 last year.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't get it. You can't be building around this guy. You gotta move on from him. I don't know how you do it when you signed this big giant contract. There's an albatross for an organization. It's not going to end anytime soon because they probably can't move him. if they can cut him loose, and he got to pay him.
Yeah, and he's getting $50 million a year, $60 million or something, and he's under contract for another, I guess, 3 seasons. Yeah, through 29. So nobody's going to want him, I don't think, unless they're going to get a real bargain on him. Of course, the Sixers are also without Paul George, who's now about halfway into his 25-game suspension. Kelly Oubre missed the Tuesday night game. He was out with an illness. Not sure if he's playing tonight. And let me say, VJ Edgecombe got hurt also in the second quarter.
He's out.
Landed hard. He's out tonight. Yeah, landed pretty hard on his lower back. So that's not good. And the Sixers right now are clinging, and I mean clinging to that 6th spot in the East. They are up by just a half game on both the Magic and the Heat. So they're in grave danger of falling into that play-in area. And even if they stay in 6, they're going to get probably the Knicks or maybe the Celtics in the first round. So they're looking at another quick elimination, even if they are in the 6th or 7th or 8th seed.
Yeah, and if you look back over the whole 10-year period, the process or whatever many years it's been now, they had opportunities with number 1 picks and really high draft picks. Didn't hit on many of them. But they're kind of in no man's land. They're not good enough to win, and they're not bad enough to get one of the better picks. So they're out there in the middle of nowhere, and finding enough good players to put a team together is pretty darn hard.
Yeah, and I'm hearing some talk on the Philly radio stations these days that there could be the possibility of Daryl Morey getting fired at the end of this season. I don't know where that's coming from, but maybe time to move on from him, and maybe even Nick Nurse as well. I don't think Nurse has had the greatest season either coaching them. So I don't know where we're going from here, but like you said, they're just kind of in limbo now, and it's not going to get any better, I don't think, with Embiid continuing to battle injuries all the time. Maxey is, playing a lot of minutes, as we discuss every week. The only hope is that Embiid will somehow be relatively healthy heading into the postseason, and they were to actually keep him healthy and get on a little run with Paul George also back. But I am not holding on to a whole lot of hope for that. No.
And speaking of Morey getting fired, I think if I'm the owner of the team, and maybe it's the owner's fault, I don't know, whoever agreed to sign Embiid to that long-term extension, that's horrible. Who gets fired. That's who gets fired. If it was Morey, fine, he goes. If it was the owner, fire your own self, because you were stupid. And the fans, they've got the fans just going along for a ride, and it's I can't stand any more of it.
Hey, I know that you didn't watch the broadcast last night, but on the plus side, the broadcast was an NBC 1990s throwback broadcast, as they had Bob Costas calling the action with analysis from Mike Fratello and Doug Collins back in Philadelphia. How about that?
Yep.
Jim Gray courtside doing interviews. So that was fun. And Bill, did you hear about Costas' little gaffe in the second half?
I did not.
Doug Collins was talking about something that he got an opportunity to do courtesy Dick Ebersol, but he instead said Dick Enberg by mistake. And Costas corrected him and said, you mean Ebersol? And Collins said, what did I say? And Costas said Enberg. He's, oh, okay, yeah, Ebersol. So Costas says, either way, 2 great dicks. And as soon as he said that, Costas says, uh-oh. And I know somebody's going to, edit that and play that on ad nauseum. So.
On Philly Pressbox Radio, right? There you go.
And of course, WIP picked up on it. They played it today. It was funny. And, they had to suffer through that entire second half with the 40-point blowout. Costas at the end saying, and now this game is mercifully over.
Yeah. I did see the opening with them, and I thought it was good. It's always good to see Doug Collins. I always like Doug.
I love Costas. I'm a Costas fan since 1982 or whatever.
Yeah, he's good. Doug Collins lives in Westchester.
I knew he was in the area still.
Yeah, he lives in Westchester. He's actually in the same neighborhood with some friends of mine, so that's why I know that.
Nice.
All right, Chet, let's move on because that subject bores me to death. What can I tell you? But Philly Pressbox Radio doesn't bore me to death because we're part of the STT Sports Network, as in Set the Trends. It's a network set up by our pal, Phil Stiefel, host of the terrific Trending in the AM show that you can find every weekday morning on the STT Sports Network YouTube channel. Check out Phil. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Phil's show is on there, and so is ours. Yep. You can find Philly Pressbox Radio there in addition to on our own YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. Again, it's the STT Sports Network setting the trends for what sports talk should be.
How about that?
Hey, Chet, March. Yeah. It's already March, which means spring is on the way. What kind of spring activities are going on at the Irish Rover Station House?
Bill, sit back and relax for 2.5 minutes because you're going to hear all about what's happening at the Irish Rover right here.
And they call her the Irish Rover. Hey!
If you're a viewer or listener of Philly Pressbox Radio, you know that the Irish Rover Station House is our longest running sponsor. And because it's March, well, that is a big month for that great bar and restaurant. Let's talk about it with the Irish Rover's Christina Gaskill. Hey, Chris, great to see you as always.
You as well, Chet. Thank you for having me.
Well, Chris, the snow has pretty much melted away finally. It's starting to warm up outside a bit, and every wannabe Irishman is looking forward to St. Patrick's Day. But that's not just a one-day event at the Irish Rover. Now, because the 17th is on a Tuesday this year, you guys have decided to turn it into an 11-day event. I love that, the 12th to the 22nd. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so not everyone loves the crowds on St. Paddy's Day like I do. So we love to serve all of our favorite Irish foods starting on the 12th. So if you come in on the 12th, you'll be able to have all of our ham, corned beef platters, Guinness stew, shepherd's pie, all the things that you love, along with, of course, a pint of Guinness and our favorite Irish beers. Over the weekend, we're going to have Irish dancers. We'll have some Irish music. And then leading up into the big day, which is on the 17th, which I'm sure you know is a lot of fun and a lot of craziness, but it's a great day. And we'll be serving all of our same food and drink for the rest of the week, too, just in case you haven't gotten your fill.
So you're going to have some of the Irish dancers the preceding weekend and again on St. Patrick's Day?
Correct. Yes. We're going to have them in here every opportunity we can. It's going to be a great weekend.
Now, you mentioned Guinness, but there are some other Irish beers. You got a few other ones, too?
Yeah, of course. Right now we have Smittix on tap. We have Harper and a few other crafts ones I haven't tried yet that I'm excited to see.
That is fantastic. As I mentioned, the weather is warming up, and you guys have that great outside patio where I've had many a good times over the years. How soon will it be Rover patio season?
I am so excited to get ready for patio season. I am done with this cold weather. So as soon as we have a few solid warm days, we'll dust it off and get everything ready, and soon we'll be out there sipping beers on the patio under an umbrella.
Tell us again the dates for the St. Patrick's Day related events.
Yep. So our big weekend really starts on Friday, the 13th. We will have food available and all of the beer on the 12th. And we'll have music. Guinness will also be out on Friday, probably with some giveaways. You'll have Irish dancers leading up to the big day on the 17th. And then we'll keep the party going and roll right through the next weekend.
Love it. The Irish Rover on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. Find them on the web at irishroverstationhouse.com. Chris, enjoy all the festivities this month and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Cheers.
Hi, football fans. This is Merrill Reese, and you're listening to Bill and Chet on Philly Pressbox Radio. It's good!
I think I'm going to be at the Irish Rover for St. Patrick's Day this year. The last couple of years, I was down in Florida in the Orlando area, but I'm going to be here, and I'm going to hit the Irish Rover on St. Patrick's Day.
I wish that I lived closer. That's all I could say, because I always have a blast when I go there.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Chet, you and I had a chance to visit with Flyers legend, two-time Stanley Cup champion, Thundermouth Joe Watson, to talk Flyers. But not just Flyers, just great hockey talk.
Yeah, and as we knew would be the case, Bill, it was a blast. Here is our conversation.
Welcome, Flyers legend and two-time Stanley Cup champion Joe Watson, back to Philly Pressbox Radio. Joe, welcome.
Well, it's always a pleasure to see you guys and be on your show, and looking forward to this.
Joe, Hard to believe, but it was 60 years ago this year that you played your first full NHL season. That was 1965-66 with those Boston Bruins. And I know we did discuss this a few years ago, but tell everyone about that certain Bruins legend that you became good friends with, you were paired with quite often on defense. Who am I talking about?
Probably the greatest player ever laced a pair of skates on. And that is Bobby Orr. I met him in training camp in 1965 in London, Ontario. I was still playing the minors, and he was playing for Oshawa, and he was about 145 pounds, and I could not believe it how small he was for a hockey player. So, and I couldn't believe he was a hockey player not being that big. But anyway, I watched him and in training camp, and I saw a lot of skill he had and everything else. And this guy's going to be a player. So the camp breaks. He goes back to Oshawa. He gets a rowing machine. And he rowed for 4 or 5 months and put on 55 pounds of muscle. So I meet him in camp the next year. Christ, he's 190-some pounds. I said, well, I couldn't believe he's the same guy. But you know what? He was so muscular, very muscular and everything else. And he constantly had problems with his body because when he got hit, he'd tear a muscle or tear something in his body, and he'd be out for a few weeks for a game or so on and so forth. So, it's unfortunate he only played 9 years in the National Hockey League, and to be the player he was incredible.
Well, Joe, what made Bobby so great? As a kid, I remember end-to-end, skating end-to-end with the puck. Was it the speed? Was it the stick handling, the toughness, or everything?
Well, he had great balance. And he looked like crazy legs first coming up the ice. His legs were going this way, that way, and everything else. And you're trying to figure out what he's going to do, and it was hard to figure out. And the thing about him, when he shot the puck, his hands were in position for stick handling. Normally, your hands are down about 18 inches apart. His hands were up here. He was so strong in his forearms, they could shoot the puck from this position, which is a stick handling or passing position. And I remember one time vividly, we were in Boston, and Bobby Taylor was playing in goal for us, and Orr come down, he let a shot go from center ice, and Bobby didn't know where the hell the puck was and everything else. It hit him, went in the net, hit him in the shaker, and he turned around, geez, the puck was in the net. So it was showing he could really rip the puck when he had to, But he was a great skater and very intelligent and great passer, just an all-around great player.
And, of course, you joined the Flyers when expansion happened in 67. What do you remember about those first couple of years with the Flyers before it really caught on in the city? There was a lot of doubt that it was going to catch on. I know there was a very small crowd that welcomed you. That certainly changed over the next 6 or 7 years. But what about those first couple of years?
Well, you know what? I remember we had training camp up in Quebec City, and then we came down to Philadelphia. And I was very inquisitive. I sat in the front of the bus there, and we're going over the old Penrose Avenue Bridge. And so I saw this machine. I said, what the hell? I said to the bus driver, what's that machine doing? He says, the Mafia owned that. I said, oh, yeah. And he says, what they do, when they get rid of people, they put them in the cars, and they grind the cars and the bodies up together. I said, you're kidding. He says, I'm not. I said, holy God, what an introduction to Philadelphia. And then they want to have a parade for us down Broad Street. Welcome to the city. Hell, there are more people in the parade. They're watching it going down Broad Street. People are giving us the finger. Oh, you'll be in Washington in 6 months, and so on and so forth. And of course, that almost happened. And because in February that year, that season, there's a storm come through and it knocked a hole in the Spectrum roof. And of course, the city didn't have any money to fix the damn thing up. So we were like vagabonds. We played our last 22 games in a row. And while we were playing, Mr. Snyder had no income coming in. He didn't know how he was going to keep the team afloat because of no income. So anyway, he goes to 5 banks in Philadelphia. And the last bank is Girard Trust. And there's a guy named Bill Bear. He was a Harvard grad, played hockey at Harvard. He ran the loan department for Girard Trust. And Ed told him he needed $2 million in his account to keep the team going, or he's going to have to sell it. And Washington was very interested in purchasing the Flyers. Well, anyway, make a long story short, thank God he put $2 million in Ed's account, and the rest is history. And then we played St. Louis the first year in the playoffs, and it was a very physical series. And we got beaten 7 games, and I remember Mr. Snyder said, "This will never happen to a Flyers team again, get pushed around like we were." And, he was right. We had a lot of small guys, but we didn't have big guys like St. Louis, big team. And they beat us in 7 games, and Mr. Snyder, true to his word, he says, "This won't happen." It never did happen again with the Flyers.
Well, Joe, what do you remember about that great defensive unit that you had? The Ed Van Em's, Barry Ashby's, Moose DuPont before Jimmy and Tom Bladen came along. Tough, hard-nosed hockey players.
Yeah, we were. You know what? I wasn't a physical type, and my brother really wasn't physical, like some of the other guys, but we did our own job. We killed a lot of penalties, obviously. Somebody had to kill the penalties because we were constantly in the penalty box, but I thought our defense was the backbone of the team, and we tried to limit shots at our goal and everything else, and try to keep our zone clean. And it worked to a T. Keith Allen was our coach at the time. Keith was very defensive minded because he was a defensive when he was playing, but we were very defensive, and it worked out well for us.
Joe, we would be remiss if we didn't ask you about the great Bernie Parent, the late great Bernie Parent. Of course, we lost him last September, I guess. Man, just such a likable guy and a pretty damn great goaltender as well. What do you remember about Bernie?
Well, I remember I met Bernie in 1963 in Minneapolis. I was playing pro for the Minneapolis Bruins, the farm team of the Boston Bruins there, and Bernie was playing junior hockey in Niagara Falls. And what happened, we lost both of our goalies, so they needed a goalie. So they called up Bernie from Niagara Falls. And Bernie comes in, he's 18 years old. Hell, we win both games. And I said, I hope I get a chance to play with this guy. And of course, it worked out that way. But Bernie was a very stand-up type of goalie. And the guy that really helped him, he played the first 2 or 3 years he played here, he was okay, but he didn't have the angles very well. And they brought in Jacques Plante. And Jacques Plante was out on the ice with him. And he had these ropes on the ice. He put these ropes on the ice and at an angle. And Bernie wasn't allowed to step out of those ropes. If he did, that means he was off the angle. That helped Bernie immensely for being a stand-up goalie and playing the angles. But Jacques Plante had a lot to do with that. Bernie, one of the all-time great, him and I are very close, and he was one of the all-time great guys that I played with. And we had a lot of fun together. I remember he came to Smithers. He wanted to shoot a bear. So we drove all the way from Montreal to Smithers, and I got a friend of mine who was an engineer in the railroad up there in 1967, and Bernie gets up there, 7-day train drive, and my friend was the engineer, like I mentioned. He said, "Well, I'll have him. He can stay in the train with me, and there's an area where he can shoot out of the train if we do see a bear." Well, they saw a bunch of moose, and they finally saw a bear. Here's Bernie shooting out of the window at this poor bear running down the track, and the bloody train has got the bear scared as hell, and Bernie's shooting and hit him in the shaker about 6 or 7 times. The damn thing finally ran out of gas, and down he goes, and they skinned him out and everything else. He had a bunch of lead in his shaker, and it was funny to see. And then what happened when Bernie got the thing skinned out and everything else, he drove around Smithers for 2 days with my dad. They were smoking cigars and drinking apricot brandy for 2 days, and there was blood all over the hood of his car. he was so excited about this bloody bear, and they had the dogs chasing him and everything else, and Bernie had the cigar going. It was a sight to behold. It really was. It was funny. It was comical.
Hey, Joe, it seems like whenever we talk about the Broad Street Bullies and the Cup teams and all that, we talk about obviously the great players and winning and Mr. Snyder, of course, but it doesn't seem like Fred Shero gets near as much talk as you would expect for a guy that I think you guys feel like was a legendary coach.
Well, he was. Freddie was ahead of everybody. He had some things that he said that we wouldn't understand until a month later. We figured it out. Freddie was way ahead of everybody. He instituted so many things in National Hockey League, day of the game skate. There's so many things that he instituted, and a scouting system, pre-scouting teams, and everything else. But Freddie was ahead of his time. He really was, and I know he might not get a lot of credit, but it wasn't for him. He instituted a system. I remember we played the Russians in '76, and the Russians are beating all the top teams, so we had practice on Saturday, or they had practice on Saturday, and we're out there watching, and I said, there's no way we can do what these guys are doing. Look at them handle a puck and the way they pass it and shoot it and that. And I told Freddie, I said, Freddie, there's no reason we should go up the ice. Let us go up the ice and fool around, because the Russians are going to stand there and watch what we're doing. And Freddie says, that's what we're going to do. So, and Freddie says, I have a system. This system's going to beat the Russians. Because when he was a younger guy, he went to Russian and learned a lot from the Russians, and he did clinics over there with the Russians and everything else. So Freddie knew what the Russians were doing and how to control them. And Freddie was absolutely right. We outshot him 49-13, and if Trechak, the great Russian goalie, hadn't played well, we would have beat him 10-1. 10-1. Oh God! But anyway, I know that when they were doing the introductions in the old Blue Line Club down there in the Spectrum, and they introduced the Russians, they got light applauses, and then when they started introducing the players, the Flyers, they got light applause, and all of a sudden they came to number 8, and Dave Schultz. All of a sudden the Russians started looking around to see where this guy was and everything else, and what he was about. So they knew who he was, and so we knew they were a little apprehensive about coming on the ice. And of course, about the 12-minute mark of the first period, Eddie Van Yep made a beeline for Karmeloff and nailed him. He didn't hit him that hard, but he went down, and the Russians they wanted to get off the ice so badly. But Mr. Strider went down and said, you're not getting your 200,000 rubles if you don't come back and play, and they proceeded to come back, and we dominated them. I scored that shorthanded goal, and the one thing I proved, a white man can't jump. I was so excited I jumped about 3 inches off the ice. That's all I jumped.
Well, Joe, since you mentioned that, when I saw you in January at the Sports Writers Banquet, I did mention that it had just been the 50th anniversary of that legendary goal, and the Flyers went over the Soviet Army. And I told you that we showed the goal on our show that previous week. And since you're here, I'm going to show it again. So here you go.
Selesky on the right wing. Selesky the drive. Save it. Joe Watson, the Smithers Thundermouth, will get maybe 1 or 2 or 3 a year, but Denmark, the Flyers using the Soviet.
And there it is, Joe.
I had black hair then too, damn
it. You sure did.
Joe, you were the Smithers Thundermouth all the way back in '76.
Yeah, well, my voice is very boisterous. Where I come from, there are more wild game than there are people. To get anybody's attention, you gotta holler, and I guess that's where that came to play. Ed Van Imp was the guy that gave me the name Thundermouth, and how that happened is remember that level they only had 2 levels in the Spectrum, and in '73 72 or '73 they put another level in there. I remember Eddie and I come out of the building after a game, and guy comes over, he says, Joe, we heard you in the 3rd level. I said, what do you mean? We heard your voice in the 3rd level. I said, really? And Eddie said, we're going to call you Thundermouth, and that's where that came from.
Hey, Joe, let me ask you something. When I saw you in January in the VIP room before the Sports Writers Banquet, you were wearing a trench coat that looked like something you stole from Columbo's closet right there. There you go.
There it is right there.
What is the story of that? What's the story?
I've had that coat. I bet you when I played, I had the coat. Imagine that when I played. It goes to show you I really take good care of my clothes because it looks brand new.
My goodness. Yeah. Hey, Joe, we mentioned Thundermouth. You put a book out a couple years ago. Excellent. There, Chet's got a copy. I've read it already too. Thundermouth. What was the idea behind that? And it's a great read.
Well, you know what? We went to Russia. I took our Russian alumni team to Russia 7-8 years ago, and we had Bill Meltzer come with us.
Yep.
And he was doing all these stories, which I really wasn't aware of. He's sending them back to wherever he was sending them to North America. And he said a lot of people were tuning in and following our trip over to Russia. I said, really? I had no idea. So on the way back, we sat together for 12 hours from Moscow to New York. And we sat there and had a few Bubba Louis, and we bullshitted and everything else. And I said to myself, and I said to Bill, Bill, if I ever decide to do a book, I I'm going to get you to do the book. And he said, well, you should, because you have so many great stories. So about a year and a half later, I phoned him up Wednesday morning. On a Wednesday morning, I said, Bill, I want to do a book, and that was it. So we got together, and I must have met him 40 or 50 times, and we went over all these stories and so on and so forth. And I had a lot of scrapbooks for the days I played, so that was very beneficial to us in the book, because we took a lot of stories out of the scrapbooks.
Yeah, so folks, if you haven't read this yet, please find it, buy it, read it. Thundermouth, it is terrific. Hey, Joe,
just go to joewatsonofficial.com and you'll get one.
There you go, Joe Watson.
joewatsonofficial.com.
I love it. I love it. It has been 51 years now since the second Flyers Stanley Cup. And, we're still waiting for a third. Though they have won 3 games in a row, it doesn't look like it's going to happen this spring. At least the team is heading in the right direction, I hope. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely right. We got a lot of young kids, and I said, because our guys really work hard. They're not big guys, so you have to work twice as hard as these big guys, and it wears you out, and I think they got tired. But now that they had a 10-day or 2-week respite, they've come back real strong, and they're using their body. Everybody seems to be involved in the plays and so on and so forth. And they're not getting outworked like they have earlier or later in the last little while. Ever since they come back, they look good. I like the Flyers, and I'm excited for them, and I'm excited to watch them. I enjoy watching them, and of course, goaltending, we all know, is very important. And Villard is a hell of a goalie. He really is. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, he's made some saves. Against Boston the other day, when Boston came in and Flyers beat them, if he hadn't made the big save, we wouldn't have won that game.
Yeah,
we will show you how important. And Sam Erkson played well there that night in New York. I mean, he let that first goal in. It was a bad goal, but other than that, he made some big saves. So hopefully the goaltending situation is getting straightened out. And Flyers are playing good defense. They're playing good defense, which is important. In order to be successful, if you don't have good defense, at least the amount of time you spend in your own zone, you'll be much better off, and that's what the Flyers are doing now.
Joe, when you're coming down the home stretch like this, you have 20-ish games left. If you're the head coach, do you come to a point you just say, Vladar's my guy, I got to play him as many games as I can, or do you still keep trying to play it out and keep 2 guys fresh in case you need them both?
No, I think Bedard will tell the coach when he's tired. And they have some back-to-back games coming up, but right now it looks good for the Flyers because they played Thursday, and then they played Saturday, and then they played back home against the Rangers. They're right back. They're kind of back in the thick of things right now too, which is good.
Well, Joe, as we speak, it is just a couple of days shy of the NHL's annual trade deadline. Do you think the Flyers will make any significant deals, either as buyers or sellers, before Friday at 3 p.m.?
Well, I hear Russell's names a lot.
Yeah.
He's looking for a big defenseman. You've got to have big defensemen in the playoffs. And, I think the Flyers, if they do make that trade, they're going to have to get a hell of a lot for him because he played well in the Olympics. The Olympics. And he's playing well for the Flyers now. He's a big, strong guy. He's very physical when he has to be. So he's going to be important to somebody if somebody does. But the Flyers got to get a lot for him.
Well, Joe, you mentioned the Olympics. What a great show by everybody. Obviously, the USA people are happy. The USA won. I got to ask you, you've been in the USA longer than you've been in Canada. Where was your allegiance? You're a Canadian.
Well, Canada, I'm still a Canadian.
That's what we thought.
I have a green card. I don't have my passport. I'm still a Canadian. I enjoy being Canadian, and I enjoy going home from where I'm at, way up in northern Canada, up near the Alaskan border there. I love hunting and fishing as a young boy, and but I try to get home every summer and see. I have 4 brothers up there and their families, so, and I still have some friends around there too, so it's nice to. But the Olympics were exciting. You know what? The save that Whitten made that save there, for God's sake, if he doesn't make that save, Canada wins. I mean, he made so many big saves, but the one with his paddle, holy God, man, that was incredible. It was exciting, great for hockey.
Yes.
Great for hockey, it really is.
Yeah, it was very exciting. Hey, Joe, other than, the helmets and the salaries, how different is today's NHL from 50 years ago?
Well, They travel. Obviously, they travel very extensively in these high flying planes and so on and so forth. And we did a lot of commercial flying when we were playing. The only time we ever did a charter was when we had to play at home the next night. Say if we played in Chicago on a Wednesday, we had to play home the next night. Mr. Snyder would charter. Well, other than that, we took a lot of buses up to New York, down to Washington D.C. I don't know what they might take the train down there to those locations. I really don't know, but it was so much different than it is now. And they make a lot more money, and they get a lot of spending money too. When they go on these trips, they get, I think, over $200 a day, for Christ's sake. So, I mean, that's not bad for living on for a day or two. That's for damn sure, you know. But everything's relative. I mean, that's the way it was then. We got $7 a day for spending money to have our pregame meal and so on and so forth. But everything was much different than it is now. But it was worthwhile. We won.
Well, hey, Joe, you mentioned the Olympics and how good it was for hockey. And, last year they did the Four Nations tournament, which was a boom as well. Is the NHL onto something with that? And it's a whole lot different when you're putting that country's jersey on than your team's jersey?
Oh, sure it is. I mean, you're playing for your country. You're playing for your country. You're playing for, 400 million people live in the United States. And sure. I mean, other players that live in wherever they live, they're playing for the country in regards, I don't know how many people some of these countries have, but 400 million people. And boy, this is happened in there. And the Olympics was good for hockey, great for hockey. Okay?
Joe, I just wanted to thank you once again for joining us for our 500th show 2 years ago. That was in June of 2024. We had a great time at the Irish Rover. Best of luck. Continue to sell more of these books, and we will see you down the road.
JoeWatsonOfficial.com will get you the book. Thanks for having me, fellas, and maybe we can continue to do this another time if you're looking.
So much ground covered, Chet.
Always good to talk to Joe. I love the way he says Montreal.
Yeah, he's great, full of stories. I'm glad he wrote the book. Anybody that is a hockey fan and just a hockey fan, but then goes back to the Broad Street Bullies days, you need to check his book out. It is really good, and
I still have it right here.
I have my copy as well, and I've read it, and it is really good.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, Chet. NFL Combine is now in the books. A lot of rumors floating around about Dallas Goedert, Jacoby Dean, Jalen Phillips, Blankenship. What do you make of it as we move forward here?
It's all just talk at this point, but yeah, the speculation is that Jacoby Dean will not be back. Jalen Phillips will be back. So we'll see what happens there. I'd love to have, Blankenship back. He was a key guy over this past season. Dean was great too, but it sounds like they just don't have him in their plans anymore. They drafted Jahad Campbell. So even though Dean played very well when he was in the lineup, they do like Campbell. They can't pay everybody. So decisions have to be made, Bill, and we're going to find out those decisions between now and I guess about a week and a half from now.
Yeah, well, and the Jacoby Dean rumors are all over the place, and Dallas is one of them, and that's a hateful thought.
Don't like that.
No, I said Jalen Phillips sounds like he's going to be back. Dallas Goedert seems to be sounding like he is not going to be back. I think he's in his 10th year or something like that. You could probably get him on a 1-year deal for maybe not a ton of money. I
would love to have Dallas Goedert back. Yeah. They don't really have any quality tight ends right now. I don't think Calcaterra is under contract either anymore. So they got to have somebody, at tight end.
Right. Well, hey, some important dates in the month of March. Started yesterday with the tagging of franchise or transition players, whatever you want to call it. The Eagles did not tag anyone that I'm aware of. Some teams in the league did. Some teams also have made everyone aware of players they're not going to sign. Kyler Murray being one. Quarterbacks are all over the place. They're going to be cutting people loose. Interesting theory, I think, on how the quarterback play is going these days. We'll get to that. But it looks like the next big day is March 9th. Around then, where free agency starts, and we'll see what happens. It's going to a lot of changes.
Yeah, Monday, March 9th is the legal tampering start of free agency, where you can, talk to players and kind of arrange potential deals. Then the announcements will come officially, I guess, on Wednesday, the 11th, just in time for our show next week, Bill, which is great. It's going to be interesting. It always is every year. And if you're wondering, the NFL draft then is in late April, April 23rd through the 25th. That will be in Pittsburgh this year, by the way. Mekhi Becton apparently going to be available. The Chargers cutting him loose. The former Eagle who played so well with the Eagles a couple of years ago hasn't played great before or after that, but maybe the Eagles would like to have him back. Our buddy Phil Seifel says no, not a good idea, but that's Phil's opinion.
Well, I don't know that it's a bad idea with Jeff Stoutland. I think what we don't know is with this new offense, if Becton becomes a speed bump, on the offensive line. Or is he a grinder like in the old offense? I'm not sure. I think we have to know what the offense is going to look like before we know who fits.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see how everybody performs without Jeff Stoutland there guiding them. So a lot of pressure on the new offensive coordinator, the new O-line coach, the new passing game and running game guys. So in addition to, what happens with the players, all these coaching changes are going to be something to watch too going into next season.
Yeah. And how about the fact that they have hired a third offensive coordinator candidate? They gave it to the one guy, and they've hired two others that they interviewed for the job who they didn't give it to. They're now in the fold in other types of capacities.
Well, we all watched the offense over this past season, saw the inconsistencies, the problems. So they want to get as many minds, I guess, in the room to figure out how to best utilize the talent that is there. Whether that's going to include A.J. Brown or not, I don't know. A week ago, I said, yeah, he's definitely coming back. Now I'm not so sure that he's coming back. More and more people are saying the Eagles will strongly consider trading him, but they want to get the right offer.
Well, I think that's probably the same with anybody.
Yeah.
If you're going to give me, let's say, 2 first-rounders and a player for A.J. Brown, I'm trading them before we get off here.
Yeah.
It just depends. Now, if you want to give me 2 fourth-rounders, no, we're not doing that. So
got to at least get a first-rounder for sure.
Right. And I think you owe it to your club to listen and just see what's out there. So
let's go tailgating, Bill.
Yeah, let's go tailgate with the best tailgaters in Philadelphia. Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Philly Tailgates.
Cavs Philly Tailgates has been cooking up a terrific catering business for 35 years. Cav, a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgates, Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest, and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs also does corporate events, parties, you name it. Cav, of course, best known for those tailgates before Philly sporting events. No Eagles games till September, but there will be Phillies tailgates before the home opener on March 26th. That is fast approaching. Another one before a Phil's Guardians game in May, and a tailgate before the Morgan Wallen concert on August 1st. Get details on those and other events at Cavs' website, phillytailgates.com. And if you do have any questions, you can email them at cavscatering@verizon.net. And Bill, I mentioned the Phillies season opener is fast approaching. In fact, it really, really is. In fact, we are exactly, this many days away from the season opener, 22. And this guy, he was a memorable number 22, played with the Phils in the early 1980s, then a second go round in 88, 89. Any memories of Bob Dernier, Bill?
The inside the park grand slam.
That is one that everybody remembers for sure, Bill. And since I knew you were going to mention that, let's take you back to May 15th, 1989. Giants-Phillies, bottom of the 12th inning at the Vet. The Giants had taken a 2-0 lead in the top of the 12th. 2 outs, 2 on. Dernier at the plate.
Line drive, fair ball. Mitchell can't get it.
37 years ago, Bill.
I was thinking grand slam, 3-run homer, 3-run walk-off homer. Yeah, cool. Hey, Chet, great guest tonight at Joe Watson, who is coming to Philly Press Box Radio next week.
Just booked this one actually during the Joe Watson interview. I remembered I forgot to finalize a guest for next week. So I texted this guy, and he will be joining us next week to talk not only baseball, because he's the co-author of Ring the Bell about the Phillies. He and Jack Fritz wrote that, but Eagles free agency as well, because Kevin knows his football. So Kevin Reevey joining us next week live at 7:00 on Wednesday, the 11th.
All right. Be looking forward to that. Hey, Chet, we teased the list in our opening, and, anytime you do a list, there's certainly brings some debate. I purposely held on to this list and didn't post it on social media, anywhere like that. I wanted to save it for you and our viewers tonight to mull over, because we're not going to have a ton of time to talk about it. We're going to do it, though. Philly Magazine came up with a list of the 25 most Philly athletes of all time. So what in the world does that mean, Chet?
Yeah.
What they said is there's no single definition. There's an underdog aspect to it for sure. Blue collar, gritty. Most Philly athletes aren't from here, but manage to feel of here, pulled to the fire as if by fate. They're not always the biggest names or the biggest stars, though many are, but they're the names that first come to mind when you think about those attributes.
Yeah,
that could be
definitely the blue collar, hardworking, and underdog adjectives, I think, would apply. Guys who maybe, don't have the top tier talent, but work their butts off on the field, the court, the rink, whatever.
Yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run down. It's actually 25. I said 20. It's 25 to 11.
There's 25 to 21 right there, Bill.
You've got them up there. Vince Papale, Tyrese Maxey, Richie Ashburn, Carly Lloyd, and Randall Tex Cobb.
Number 20 through 16, Bill. Skateboarder Stevie Williams. I don't know who that is. I don't know how he made the list. But then you got St. Joe's Hoops legend Jameer Nelson, teen baseball legend Monet Davis. That was 11 or 12 years ago already, Bill. Chuck Bednarik, who should be higher on this list, and boxing great Bernard Hopkins.
Yep. Smarty Jones is at 15. Yes, the horse. Good comment. Hoops legend Charles Barkley, Chase Utley, old-time tennis and basketball player, Ora Washington. I don't know who she is.
Early 1900s.
Yeah. And then Mike Schmidt comes in at 11.
All right, we get to the top 10. The great Wilt Chamberlain at number 10. Dick Allen from Wampum, Pennsylvania. And then, of course, 2 stints with the Phillies. Flyers legend Bobby Clark and the Broad Street Bullies, they lumped together. Sixers great Dr. J. Julius Erving, and Philly-born hoops great Don Staley. And that, Bill, gets us to the top 5.
Yeah, and the number 5, I don't think you would have any argument with this. Brian Dawkins is about what Philly's all about.
Yeah, B-Doc, of course, has to be on this list. Number 4, now this one kind of surprised me. We all love the guy, but I don't know that he's...
No, we don't.
John Kruk, number 4 on the list as, a most Philly guy. I don't know about that.
No, I don't either. Number 3, Jason Kelce.
Yeah.
Jason's
got to be in the top 5.
Well, he's got to be in there just for the Super Bowl speech, if nothing else.
Yeah. The Mummers outfit. Come on.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Jason. Number 2, Smokin' Joe Frazier, the boxing great, Philly legend. So he is number 2. And number 1, Bill, I don't know if you feel good about it, but go for it.
Well, number 1 is Allen Iverson.
There you go. There's your top 5 right there. Philly Magazine's most Philly athletes of all time. All right. Who did they miss, Bill? Because I got a couple of names.
Well, you know what? One team that popped into my head right away was, Philly gritty guys. Moses Malone. Moses Malone came into my head right away. Guys like Bobby Jones. He was out with Aaron Rowan running through a fence for
I thought he
baseball.
would be on there.
Yeah, those kind of guys popped into my head right away.
Okay, for me, I immediately thought of the 1993 Phillies. Lenny Dykstra. He's had his problems, of course, since then, but Dykstra, Dalton, Pete Incaviglia, those were Philly guys to me. How about Eagles such as Andre Waters, John Ritchie, who only played a couple of years, but he's a Philly guy, and Flyers like John LeClaire, Tim Kerr, and especially Rod Brindamore. Everybody loved Brindamore. Hard worker. Rod Brindamore should be on this list. Come on, Philly Mag.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, there's guys, and I have no problem with Vince Papale. I have no problem with Richie Ashburn since he was a broadcaster for so long. Tyrese Maxey, it's way too early for him.
Yeah.
Carly Lloyd, great player, but I'm not sure she belongs here. Delran, New Jersey. The skateboarder. Come on, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't read about his bio, but Stevie Williams, a Philly guy, skateboarder. Okay, fine.
Yeah. So
Chuck Bednarik should be higher than 17 or whatever. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Concrete Charlie.
So many missing names. I think you could argue with the order. Quite frankly, Mike Schmidt was not a Philly guy.
I know he was a little too laid back. So
yeah, I mean, tremendous player. We're no problem with the tremendous player part, but Mike Schmidt did not epitomize what Philly got. He's not Rocky.
Exactly. And where was Rocky on the list? Come on, I know he's fictional, but
we got Papale instead. So
yes.
he was our real life Rocky.
Still alive, by the way, despite rumors on Facebook and elsewhere. Vince Papale is not dead. Every couple of months there are rumors that Vince Papale is dead. He's alive and well, folks.
And neither is Coach Vermeil. He's still alive.
That's right. Wrap it up, Bill. I got a pack for Florida.
Good list. Maybe we'll talk about that some more when we get in time in another. And anybody who wants to comment, please comment to us. We'll put it up on Facebook. How about we do that? And everybody wants to comment.
And follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe on YouTube also.
That's right. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Let's thank tonight's special guest, Joe Watson. Our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgate, PPCC 118 Raz Room. For Jim Chet Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, March 11th, 7 p.m. He's just live on Facebook, on our Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel, and on the STT Sports Network YouTube channel, and listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans.
Happy trails to you till we meet again.